G'day, sports fans. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sports by Fry podcast. Back on a Tuesday evening, this time sitting down with JLo after a fortnight off the airwaves. Still a little bit fluey, so apologies if that's coming through your headphones, but the boys are back. We're excited. Grand Final week. The AFL Grand Final is here. The Swans and the Cats for the first time ever, which sounds surprising to say out loud. I think a lot of people are predicting a Geelong dub, and those same people probably want Sydney to win, but JLo and I will unpack everything to do with the Grandy. We do a little bit of a touch on the prelims that unfolded as well last weekend, and the Brownlow, of course. Congrats to Paddy Cripps on winning that. And then we talk a little bit about some basketball. It's about a month away from NBA season starting, so we're starting to etch closer. Get excited, hoop heads. And NFL fantasy updates coming through as well. The Saquon, the chef team, is currently sitting 1-1, so not all hope is lost, but I kind of got my ass handed to me this week in my matchup. So a little bit of fantasy football, a little bit of basketball, a lot of bit of footy from an AFL standpoint, and then we close things out with another epic Mt Rushmore. So here we go. Let's get amongst today's episode. Feels like ages that we have sat down since we've sat down and recorded another podcast. We're not here on hump day. We're bucking the trend a little bit. Tuesday night. This Sunday, I was about to say Sunday sit down, but this sit down comes to you. Still a bit rusty. Here we go. How are you, JLo?
I'm pretty fucking rusty too, mate. Like I was just mentioning in the pre-pod, it's been very little sleep in last week and lots of wine and just, not a lot of attention paid to sport. So this will be interesting. Let's see how rusty we truly are.
I think I've done a decent job of staying glued to the news. You know that Jay Crowder is being aggressively shopped by Phoenix.
Only because of your Instagram.
Yeah, well, that's probably all that Jay Crowder needs to be mentioned. There's not a lot happening in basketball. There is shitloads of footy stuff on the agenda, but I want to start back in the NFL fantasy realm because we didn't get to recap after week one, and we've just this morning concluded round two.
It's not good.
Saquon, the chef boys are sitting at 1-1. How's Alshon Jeffrey looking?
Nah, it's just not come together, eh? It has not come together so far. So
not ideal.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't have much for you.
You're gonna need me to steer the ship.
Nah, I got eviscerated this week. I got doubled up this week.
Who'd you play?
Jai had 177. He had Stephon Diggs and a few other crew went 30 plus. So he went big and my crew just didn't come together. But honestly, I would say QB is giving me the worries. Matt Stafford just very flat. And I want the big QB points. So there's a lot to be desired.
I quite regularly tell people, wait on a quarterback. You can be patient. You know, there's obviously quarterbacks out there that are going to be stars like Lamar Jackson. He's going to rush for a shitload. I think he had a 40-point burger this week as well. There's plenty of quarterbacks out there, but I'm in exactly the same boat. I took Kirk Cousins and Russ Wilson, and both of them.
Oh, did you at least use Russ Wilson?
I did, and Russ Wilson scored 11.
Oh, what did Kirk Cousins get? He was
8.
Horrendous when I watched him. Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah. So, I've said to all these people out there, you can be patient. You don't have to have the star quarterbacks, but if you had the star quarterbacks, like I'm sure Jai did, you'd probably be sitting in a pretty good spot. I had 170 hung on me this week as well. Russ did not help the situation. But I was just looking at, the rankings for the players I've got. In my running back slots, I've got the second and the fifth best bloke so far. And wide receiver, I got 4 and 6. So, the core of the team's there. I feel okay. But, having 170 points dropped on me, I only scored 110, I think, from memory. But the bloke I was playing had Tua and Jalen Waddle, who combined for about 80 points between them. So, not ideal.
Okay.
Who's your tight end?
Kelsey.
Oh, you bastard. See, I threw the dart at Kyle Pitts, thinking he was going to be like top 4, top 3 tight end for the Falcons. And at the moment, he's ranked 35th. He scored a
Oh,
whopping
wow.
7.8 points in 2 weeks. So
Jeez.
I'm a little bit undecided. You know, my roster's okay. I'm still happy with my team. Like I said, I'm 1-1, had a ripper week 1. I think the first 5 dudes in my lineup had 25 plus points in week 1. So there is still hope. I got Michael Pittman in my IR slot, so hopefully he comes back this week. But are you looking at making any tweaks or roster moves rolling into the next week, or not too sure yet?
Well, I have a waiver wire spot that I've only just realized. Like, I couldn't fill it, and then I realized I was just being stupid. So I've put someone in that. Can't remember who it was. Interestingly, it feels like there's a lot of good tight ends around.
Mm.
I don't need one, but a lot of good tight ends on the waivers. No idea yet. To be honest,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna look at that. I'm gonna look at that a little bit later.
That's
But
future JLo's problem.
yeah, it's a tough life in the fantasy football realm. I miss
Think,
AFL already.
oh, well, it's funny you say that because I've started to, I'm still piecing together the AFL Fantasy Team of the Year that I'm going to drop right before Grand Final Day, you know, the last footy
Okay.
day of the year. So that'll be unveiled. Yeah, actually, now that I'm having a look at a bit of the tight end market, you're right. There is a couple of dudes around. That position's weird, though, unless you get a dude like Kelsey. You're kind of just banking on someone to get 4 catches and hopefully one of them is a touchdown. So Gerald Everett from the Chargers, he's one who I really like, who's in like 30% of teams at the moment that people could
The
target.
Vikings bloke looked good today.
What's
in a
his name again? Not Irv
bad
Smith.
effort.
Is it Irv Smith?
Yeah, I think it's something like Smith
Yeah.
or something junior.
Yeah, we'll have to keep the fantasy faithful updated with our week 3 performances. Do you know who you're playing?
No idea. We'll get
Let me
there.
have a look.
Just,
I got
just
Marcus.
take it as it comes.
Could be right. Well, you got the Dynamite Dons bloke who, as we've established previously, is always, I think he's in our basketball league as well, isn't he?
I don't know. He's just
Yeah.
shout out to him if he listens. I don't know who he is.
The Sportsby fans are very prominent in our fantasy leagues. All right. Before we dive into the big slate of footy, because there's plenty to get to on the agenda, let's do a little bit of basketball stuff because we were about a month, 5
1
weeks
month
from the season.
1 month
starting, is
away
that right?
exactly.
Hell
I think
yeah.
I saw a post this morning of the Nuggets saying it's 1 month.
Fuck yeah, I cannot wait. Let's see how
Neither
Donnie Mitchell looks in wine and gold, eh?
Yeah.
But there are a couple of other teams that we want to kind of talk through. We've done our divisional previews, and I reckon maybe next week we might even do one conference and then the second conference the following week of like the over or unders, projecting on who we think will, you know, outreach their win total or who's going to struggle. But there's a couple of teams that we're intrigued by that we want to talk about for different reasons. Obviously, it might be a contender. It might be someone right near the bottom, but I'll let you go first, cab off the rank. We've got 3 teams each. Who's the first team that you're intrigued by as we near the start of the season?
I reckon we've touched on them a little bit already, but I'll start with could be the fan favorite choice. I'm excited to see how the Pels go. We've got McCollum. Yep. We're finally well, we don't know, but we're getting Zion back. They've got Brandon Ingram. They've got a really nice team. They sort of made all that noise against, was it the Suns in the first round? Like, honestly, felt like they should have actually won that series. So you add a Zion back to that. You've got Valanciunas. You've got Jacko Hayes with another year in him. You've got Devontae Graham. They've got a really good, deep roster.
Yeah, they bat
Terrence
deep.
Jones. Is it Terrence Jones that I'm thinking
Herb
of?
Jones.
Herb Jones, thank you. And they've got little, what's his name, sneaking around, Jose
Alvarado.
They might have like the deepest team in the league, like or close to it. They're really bloody good. And so I'm just excited. They've got this really interesting mix of length and athleticism, and probably one thing they lack is shooting a little bit, but shooting's not that sexy. So big dunks, fast breaks, got the steady hand of CJ McCollum. I think these guys are going to do like amazing things this year, and just going to be a joy to watch in terms of sort of those hustle plays.
Yeah.
Great to get down to. In fact, I'm probably going to go and watch a game. I'm going to New Orleans next year, 100%. You can lock that in. So I'll go watch them in person, watch some highlights, have a friggin' hurricane while I'm enjoying Zion. And yeah, I think they're going to be unreal. They're definitely my team to watch. Definitely
They will
number
be
one on League Pass too.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they will be a very popular League Pass subscription as well. 10 games under 500 they finished last year. And you're right, when you look at their roster, they're not overflowing with like your traditional 3-point shooters, but Ingram's taken heaps of strides since he came into the league as a 3-point shooter. Was it Jose Alvarado who was the guy that went viral last year when they were like I'm pretty sure it was against D'Angelo Russell, and he's like backpedaling and he's like, can this guy shoot? He's like, yeah, I could shoot. And then there's like a clip of him hitting a three 10 seconds later. I think it was him. CJ can shoot. They got dudes who can, but like you said, they do bat fucking deep. And I think it'll be interesting to see whether they replicate some of the heroics that they showed in that playoffs, and if they are going to be a top 6 lock, or if they're going to be, pushing for a top 4 spot, or where they fall in that pretty clunky West mix. I'm excited to watch them as well. And if you're going to New Orleans to watch them, I might just have to tag along to Smoothie King Center. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That's what it was called. I think it's still called that.
Probably
if
not.
they're not the deepest team in the league, I think you might, after the off-season that's just happened, you might beg to differ, but I think that honor might go to Atlanta, who's a team that I'm really intrigued in. They obviously gave up a couple of picks to get DeJounte Murray in the door. They've got Trae Young in the backcourt with him, so that's a pretty good 2-headed monster. It'll be interesting to see how they share the ball, but guys like DeAndre Hunter, Onyeka Okongwu, I reckon, is going to take another step in his development as well. You got Bogdan Bojanovic. That's where Mo Harkless ended up as well, apparently. But I'm interested to see what happens a bit with John Collins as well. I don't know if they are capable of going back to the East Finals like they did a couple of years ago against the Bucks. And that's kind of why I'm intrigued to see what they've got, because they bat pretty deep. They do have stars, but the John Collins piece, the trade rumors around him just won't go away. So maybe they do try to, I don't know, ditch him because he's not the right fit, or somehow turn him into another player or try and upgrade that position. But I don't exactly know who you would try and get in a trade. So I'm intrigued to see what they do on the court, but I'm also equally intrigued to see how that roster looks, by the time we reach the playoffs. Will they pull the trigger on a move to try and complement their backcourt stars? Will Clint Capella maybe be on the move? He's someone who I think's, probably deserves the title as like a top 10 center in the league. I think he's won the rebounding title not last year, the year before. So he's no scrub, but yeah, I'm intrigued for sure to see what Atlanta's capable of.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I often forget that DeJounte Murray, however you say it, is on this team. I'll kind of be, they've still got Collins, still got Capella. But actually they've got DeJounte Murray. Like was he an All-Star last year?
Yeah, I think he was a replacement. Or maybe he was the last bloke voted in. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, it was bloody impressive either way. I reckon Okongwu's going to sort of start to take real strides, which would be interesting with that John Collins point, like you were saying. They intrigue me. Trae Young's one of the more interesting players to watch in the league because he's Steph Curry, pretty much, let's be honest. And that's
very similar.
That's intriguing. So, but he also does some slightly weirder things than Curry's, like more herky jerky. So I do love watching him. Yeah, I find them hard to watch, the Hawks, just traditionally. Even when probably the only time I wouldn't have struggled to watch them was when they had Josh Smith, but I probably couldn't watch them then. I don't think we had League Pass back then.
Yeah, it was back in the ancient days of, tuning into box scores.
Yeah, so I still struggle to watch them, but I am intrigued to see how that DeJounte Murray pairing goes. They just need one more player who's like electric, you know?
Mm.
They've got the steady, they've got the weird in tray. You used to think John Collins was an electric dunker. He's a bit boring. They just need that big friggin' Donnie Mitchell sort of Zach Levine rise up kind of player, and they'll be money in the bank.
I do wonder, and this is kind of linking back to the team that you were talking about. When we did our bit of Pelicans chat last week, which doesn't seem like it was only a week ago. No, it was a fortnight ago.
I think it was
that's why.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. There's, the Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Zion pecking order is interesting. If they could find a third team to send John Collins to, and they could somehow latch onto Brandon Ingram and get him into the mix, push DeAndre Hunter down to the 4, that'd be a fucking exciting Atlanta Hawks team to watch. You're right. They are a bit of a tricky watch, but yeah, I'm still intrigued to see how they go about their business.
Definitely. Adding another All-Stars is huge. So,
all right. Who's team number 2?
Ooh, I think team number 2. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the best for last. Literally the best, probably. I'm gonna go Detroit, and we've brought these guys up a little bit in their, what did you call it? The review we did, the divisional review. But I think they're gonna be better than we think. They added some really intriguing players. Jaden Ivey, obviously interesting. Who else did they add? Kevin Knox with a chance. That's very interesting.
Kemba's there.
He showed flashes. Cade Cunningham, I think he's going to be every bit of the number 1 draft pick that he was billed to be. I don't think he's going to be like generational LeBron style stuff, but I think he could be like a 10-time All-Star, which is nothing to sneeze at.
True.
He's a triple-double machine. He's smooth. Oh, Bagley. Yeah, I don't know if you just said that. Bagley's there as well. Really intriguing pieces that have never quite clicked in the NBA. But I'm thinking next to these really talented young players with a coach like Dwayne Casey, who is still there. Is that right?
Yep.
It's almost surprising, but why would you fire a coach that good? Yeah, anyway, I'm just really intrigued to see how this mix goes. And they've got some like quirky players like Hamidou Diallo and like what's Killian Hayes' deal?
Yeah.
Fuck knows,
You're right. That is a very interesting, eclectic group of characters. Sadiq Bey, you could throw into that as well. Kelly Olynyk. I'm excited to see, and they got Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel in pretty much a salary dump from the Knicks. So, other pros, I agree. I think they're going to be better than probably what we've expected from the Pistons in the past. Does that mean they're like 35 win territory? Well, maybe. That's probably where they're floating around, but still, it's a move in the right direction. Jaden Ivey, like you mentioned, is exciting. I'm equally excited to watch Jalen Duren, the other bloke that they got in the draft, touted as one of, if not the best, big man prospect. I know they've got good old beef stew, Isaiah Stewart clogging the lane, but if this Duren bloke shows a lot and all of a sudden he's, I was going to say DeAndre Ayton, but I don't think he's going to be that good. But if he could be like a rim running lob threat and build quite a bit of chemistry with Cade and those other fast, shifty guards they've got, then he might be, we might have a big 3 on our hands. So, yeah.
Watching that develop will be fun, I think. Watching the flashes. Yeah.
I agree. And I think Cade is probably, he might not even be a sleeper, but he's a fantasy dude, like waiting to explode. So, could pounce on him. I don't know if there's as much excitement around the development going on in Orlando, but I wanted to throw them a bone. I wanted to mention Orlando as one of the intriguing teams because they've got to get better sooner or later, right? And I think rolling into this season, we might see Franz Wagner or Paolo Banchero instantly become their best player. There's not a lot to get excited about for Magic fans, and I feel like this little dip into the Orlando Magic will be quick, but a starting lineup of Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, and then Wendell Carter Jr., they're all young. There's plenty of concerns around the group, but I'm excited to see just what they produce. It'll probably be 12 wins. But if one of them pops, it might just accelerate their timeline. Everyone's been raving about how France was playing over in Eurobasket. I can't remember if it was Luca or Giannis. It might have been Luca, but someone was just saying like, "Oh yeah, that dude's like ready to be like a star. He's like all-star talent." So who knows? Maybe he'll come out. He kind of surprised a little bit in his rookie year. Maybe he'll come close to averaging 20 points. Maybe Banchero will do the same and make a run at rookie of the year because Orlando needs something to build around. And if you get to, I don't know, all-star break and neither of them look like a franchise guy, Orlando might be like, well, fuck, we've got nothing because the cupboard is pretty bare outside of those dudes. Cole Anthony had his moments last year as well. And you still got dudes like Gary Harris, Terrence Ross is there, who that still surprises me. I'm surprised that someone hasn't pounced on him, but probably for all the wrong reasons. I'm intrigued rather to watch the Orlando Magic. And by watch, I mean observe from afar and probably not put on League Pass too often.
Yeah, you just know it's going to be a really tough watch. Like, you at least trust Dwayne Casey to get the Pistons playing some form of half-decent basketball, whereas I'm not so sure with the Magic. Yeah, they're big. They're young.
It's about all they got going for.
No, well, and it feels like they would be hesitant to win too much with Wembanyama on the horizon. If you can put him next to Paolo and Wendell and France, and in fact, they'll start to get too big, but that kind of feels like you might as well. What's one more year if you're the Magic? But with that said, number one draft pick automatically makes you pretty interesting. And I've been listening to a lot of people a lot of players talk about, who's the best player in the draft. And they're all like, oh, Paolo, easy. Like, it's not even close. Like, especially the players who watched him at Summer League were saying like, yeah, he's like dominating. Like, it's not even a competition. So pretty intriguing to see him. That's all I can say. And now the other half of the listeners can tune back in. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah,
we're moving past the Magic.
We've got through the Detroit, Orlando doldrums.
Yeah.
Take us home. Who's the team number 3 that you're intrigued to observe next year?
Well, teameth number McThreeneth is for me. It's the Clippers. Potential number one seeding out west. I think if you look at the odds, they might be the number one seed right now, number one sports bet option. But yeah, if they can get it going and get healthy, I think they're going to be hyper intriguing because we were talking about deepest team in the league. I think this is it.
Yeah, it could be.
I think they've got the most unique, like obviously the most unique. What is it? Backcourt? Well, defensive wing pairing, defensive like juggernauts, absolute dominant scorers. They've got good backups. They've got maybe a bit thin at the big, but because they lost Hartenstein, didn't they? He's a Nick.
He's gone to New York. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like Brandon Boston Jr. I just think they've got it. I think they've got enough to really compete out there. It's going to be so good to watch them beat up on Devin Booker. Like, Devin Booker is going to get found out against these two like superstar wing defenders. It's going to be amazing to just have Kawhi back in the NBA. Like, I think we've missed him a little bit. We've kind of, and we've all forgotten how dominant this man was. Like, he was after that championship in Toronto, I was like, he could be on track for like a top 10 NBA career with all his defensive player of the years. If he snagged 1 or 2 MVPs instead of doing his knee, you're like, shit, that's a GOAT level kind of career. So
yeah, absolutely.
Getting him back and sort of watching them, other than the Nuggets, terrorize the West will be really enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with a lot of what you said. Right now, they are equal with the Golden State Warriors for the best odds in the West. Speaking of odds and Kawhi and MVPs, 21-1. Your boys just had a little splash on that in the offseason, best believe. So I reckon if the Clippers are right up there and they are the number one seed or are pushing towards it and Kawhi plays his, let's call it 67 plus games, he'll be squarely in the mix to win the award.
What's the over-under on 67 games from Kawhi, though?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. I was going to say 70, and I was like,
I'd take the under.
I think it's been a while since he's probably played 70. Yeah, I think I would too, but that doesn't bode well for people like myself and other future NBA MVP enthusiasts. I'll be quick with my final team. Same division. I'm intrigued to see what happens with the Sacramento Kings. Now, I know that they copped a lot of shit for the Domantas Sabonis and Tyrese Halliburton deal, but they got back Domantas Sabonis. I think that I can understand why, and I was one of the first people to do it as well. Everyone just threw shit on the Kings, and they were like, good one. They've ditched like another potential franchise player, but Sabonis is like a dual all-star and could be the perfect running mate with De'Aaron Fox. They got good old off-night Davion Mitchell in the backcourt as well. Signed a lot of shooters as well. Kevin Huerta and Malik Monk are amongst it. Keegan Murray, the bloke who was the 4th overall pick, was lighting it up in Summer League. So all of a sudden, I'm like, are the Kings actually, are we sleeping a bit on Sacramento? Are they going to, God forbid, be in the play-in mix? Could they be that good? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I do like how they complemented De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. They've got like your lockdown defender type in Mitchell. They got the shooters now. They got another scoring forward in Keegan Murray. Harrison Barnes is kind of expendable, and he's going into the last year of his deal anyway. But Rashawn Holmes is another good player as well. I think you've had him in fantasy a couple of times the last few years, and he's pretty underrated. So
pretty good.
If he's their backup center behind Sabonis, then that's a good thing for them. And of course, Delhi's on the Kings. So how could I not be excited by watching Sacramento?
Yeah, I fully on board with this pick. I think not this year, not this season coming, but the one after. Kind of feel like they might do what the Grizzlies did last season. Just sort of jump up and just be people like, holy moly. Like it probably would take it would, and it would be different. It would be, I don't know. I was going to say like not the job rising them up, but by committee. But actually, that's kind of what the Grizzlies did this season. So I'm excited to watch them piece it together. They've got literally the best nickname in the NBA in Off Night Mitchell. Like,
yeah,
that's like, I think that I'd put that right up there with the greatest of all time nicknames. Honestly,
it's a pretty good nickname.
It's so sick. So yeah, can't wait to see what he does with, another year under his belt. And yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be awesome. I think the Sabonis pickup or trade, I think you'd do it. Like, honestly, if it was there, you'd do it. If someone offered you that, you would have taken it at the time. So just let that settle in, let it roll. Have a bit of faith and a bit of patience, Sacto. I know it's hard to say that after nearly like 2 decades of no playoffs, but I think this is the group, and I'm excited to see them grow into that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Don't
lose De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, make no mistake. I could see them quite easily going 38 and 44 again. Like, it's very possible, but
yeah,
I actually have a bit of optimism around the roster, which is something that I'm not used to saying. So, yeah. All right, next week, I reckon, we'll check in with a little bit of over-under action, but we buried the lead. Let's talk about football. Do you watch the Brownlow count?
Oh, a bit on and off, but I watched the important parts.
Yeah. I thought it was, I don't want to say one of the best, but it was right up there. It was a really good count. It might have been one of the best. I, just before it started, put a bet on for a tie and then was inches away from that coming through. Put on money for what you call the boxed 4, like predicting who's going to finish at the top 4, and got that right. But I had money on Clayton Oliver from the start of the season and took halfway through. And you may recall about 5 weeks or so ago, a young Frosty said, mark my words, round 23 will be the round where Tuke Miller goes out there, dominates, and gets the votes to win the Brownlow. And as we headed to round 23, I was like, I nearly called you. I was like, it's going to fucking happen. Here we go. But he missed out on the votes, and Paddy Cripps won the medal. Deserving winner, and spoke like a champ as well. Yeah, what do you reckon? You got any takeaways?
It was probably the best last round I reckon I've seen. It was because it was so much that could have gone anyway. Like every game with all 4 or 5 of them, you're like,
Yeah,
and like no one
Lockie
was
and
getting.
Clayton.
Yeah, no one was getting him. And then I actually forgot Cripsy had such a good game in that last one. Like I thought, oh, they lost. Like, nah, no way. But then came through and got the big 3. And yeah, you're right. He did speak well, pretty deserving. Yeah, yeah. I you know what I'm the most surprised at that Bont hasn't won one. I don't know. He feels like he's won one. So
He would
I'm
be,
glad
honestly,
Cripsy got one though.
yeah, right now, I think he would be my pick to win it next year, especially with the potential Josh Dunkley exit. I
Yeah.
mean, that might mean he gets more attention from opposing mids, but yeah, I reckon the Bont is prime. Because Cripper's one of those dudes that for years people have been like, oh, he'll win a Brownlow one day, but now he's actually won one. And people
Yep.
have been saying a similar thing about Bont. You haven't really heard lots of people say it about Clayton Oliver, Tuke Miller, you know, those type of dudes, Callum Mills. So yeah, watch this space. You ready for your useless Sports by Fry stat?
Oh, been waiting for 2 weeks, mate.
True or false? Nat Fife polled a Brownlow vote.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
False. He got 0 votes. True
Well,
or
he only
false?
played
That's
2
the
games.
first time in his career that he's gone a season without a Brownlow vote.
Oh, I'm going to say true because it sounds like that's the fact.
You're bloody clever, mate. Yeah. So 2022 is the first time in his entire career that he hasn't polled a vote in a season. Even in his rookie year, he snagged 5 votes, and then it was double digit for a string of years there. But that baffled me when I heard that. Not that he didn't get a vote this year. I mean, he played, 4 or 5 games, but
yeah.
Fifey, still an all-time Dockers great. Before we talk about grand final and the prelims that just were, if you cast your eyes over the most recent Sportsby piece I dropped about the Dockers?
No. Oh, how long ago was this?
What day are we now? Tuesday? Yesterday?
Oh, no.
So it was just kind of me writing about how important this off-season is for Fremantle, because you've got all of a sudden
good.
6 blokes-ish that want out.
Yeah.
Some of them contracted for 2023, some who are not. And it kind of got me thinking this might be like the most important off-season in Dockers history. I know it might be a bit of a hyperbole, but Logue, I can see why he wants to go. I reckon he'll be great if he does go to North Melbourne and become an elite defender. Rory Lobb, he's made his, intentions pretty clear. But then Darcy Tucker and Lloyd Meek and Blake Acres and potentially Liam Henry now as well. Like all these other dudes that want out, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Do you boys not want to be on this bandwagon? So, yeah, I think it's a very, very interesting offseason coming up for the Freo Dockers. They've obviously got a pretty weak draft hand going into it. They got their first rounder, and they've got to try and bring in Luke Jackson, Jeremy Sharp, the Gold Coast young dude. He said he might want to come back to WA, so they might make a play at him. I think the Coasters will do the same thing. But all of a sudden, after a really successful on-field season, Freo's got their backs against the wall and they have to nail this. Whether they get players in, whether they get extra picks in, I'll be very intrigued to see if we look back 3 years from now and we're like, oh shit, like that was when Fremantle kind of dropped their bundle again and did a Freo.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't agree more, mate. Like, it's really surprised me. It surprised me that so many crew want out. I kind of get the Griffin Lowe thing. I kind of get that. Roy Lobb's not going anywhere by the sound of things, but I kind of get that. Darcy Tucker, whatever, you're not playing much, but there's a few crew in there that I'm like, oh, I can't believe that. I think the big one to lose would be Blake Acres. I think you can sort of find enough growth from the young crew to replace Griffin Lowe. But losing Blake Acres is going to suck because it is going to happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's not much they can do about that. So that's shitty, especially shitty because it's probably happening because they want to save money for Luke Jackson, which I don't personally feel like is the right decision. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he's worth what he's going to get paid. So, it's a lot. It's a great test for Peter Bell. Luckily, the crew you're losing are central cogs. It's not your Sarongs or your fucking Brayshaws. You're losing Mundy though. That hurts.
Yeah, I know. That was, I think, like one of the first sentences I wrote. I was like, we're all aware that 376 games of experience are about to depart this side, but
Yeah, fuck. But yeah, it's a lot. It's
a
really
sting. It
surprising.
sucks.
I don't get it. What the fuck's wrong with these people? I don't know. What's wrong with kids, man?
And I mean, the Blake Acres one as well, like it seems like he's chasing a bit of a payday because, like you said, they want to use a bit more dough on the Luke Jackson one. But fuck it, let Luke Jackson go to West Coast if that's like he's demanding X number of dollars. It seems like Freo just put their eggs in this basket way too early, and now it's kind of hamstrung them with the way that they're going to pay a few blokes. And like you said, I mean, the Acres one hurts, but they've got options. I wouldn't be honestly surprised if Darcy Tucker stayed on the roster or they try to convince him to stay and push for that wing role and be like, look, there's now an opening. Like, if you want to stay, you're contracted for next year, especially with North Melbourne potentially chasing Hunter Clark. I'm like, well, where's Tucker going to fit into this scenario? But yeah, it was a bummer over the last, what is it? Let's call it 10 days to see like Rory Lobb wants out and Blake Acres and Lloyd Meek. And like most of them I can understand, and it's all part of the cycle of a football club. And there are youngsters on the list who'll still push and make the selections squeeze tighter. And they're going to get some compensation for all these dudes leaving, and that'll help. But if they, like I said, drop the bag or they fuck up these potential picks or the players they invest in, it could just see them take one step forward and two steps backwards after a pretty successful on-field year. So, and Peter Bell himself has said he's, not totally against the idea of going back to North Melbourne. I don't think they're heavily pursuing him anymore, but a week or two ago, that was the rumor that was going around. So I'm like, fuck me. We'd have like one good story for the Dockers, one good season. They're like, no, just remember, these are the Fremantle Dockers. Just pump the brakes, boys.
That would be, yeah. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, watch this fucking space, though. All right, let's talk about some successful sides. Did you tune into both of the prelims, or were you too busy chewing down some vino?
Yeah, I think I missed them both from memory. I think I like landed and I don't know. Actually, you know what? It's a good question. I can't
Where am
remember
I?
what. Honestly, I don't really know. But like know that the Collingwood game was off chops.
Well,
know
it
that
was
Melbourne are not Melbourne. The Lions are dog shit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
Fill me
watched all of the Friday night game. There's not a lot to take away from that. Danger's first quarter looked like vintage Patrick Dangerfield. But I'm also like, that kind of was like his big game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he's going to replicate that in the Grandy. I know that he'll still be Danger and he'll probably still have 25 touches, but I don't think he's going to push for like Norm Smith honours. I could be wrong and he could burst out of the gates. And part of me kind of wants to see him win a flag. But yeah, they chopped him all over the place. So Brisbane were butchering the footy and making lives hard for themselves, but it was partially because of the way that Geelong were playing as well. So the Sydney Collingwood game, it was a bit of a banger, but I thought there were other finals that were better. It was just another Collingwood fourth quarter comeback that
Mm.
if there was probably 2 more minutes in the game, it felt like they were going to overrun Sydney. And they had a few chances late as well. But credit to the Swans. It sounded almost like it was being played at like a neutral ground as well. Like the Sydney fans were
Really?
vocal whenever they did something good. But yeah, the Collingwood boys were making noise. So part of me,
It is
a little
Collingwood.
part of me kind of wanted to see the Pies get up to keep that fairy tale going. But deep down, I don't know if I love Collingwood like any true-blooded Australian. So, yeah, I'm not too unhappy to see Sydney, Geelong in the Grandy. Are these the best 2 teams of the season, do you reckon?
Nah, no way.
Yeah, okay.
I
Because
think
someone
Geelong
else,
is.
Geelong, I reckon, yeah, but not the
Yeah.
Swans.
I've been off the Swans all year.
Yeah,
So,
true.
like I said, when Geelong beats them on the weekend, I'm gonna be like, I fucking told you so. I told everyone. But it's starting to scare me. So maybe they are. I think they're almost like the most versatile team in the sense that they can change a game plan they can out game plan almost all the other sides. The one exception is potentially Geelong. So we'll
Yeah,
see how it
okay.
goes. I would definitely be tipping all over Geelong because I think they have been the best side this year. But John Longmire, man, he's a bloody good coach.
Well, that's what my next follow-up was going to be. If it's not the best 2 teams playing each other, have we got the best 2 coaches going up against each other?
Nah, I wouldn't put Scotty in the same combo as Longmire. I would have Dimmer in there.
I'd put Scotty
Uh,
right up there, though.
I don't know. I just think he's always had really good lists. Like their list management's phenomenal. I don't know if I would rate him. Look, he probably is. But for mine, Longmire's the best, and then probably Dimmer, and then
Dimmer's right up there, too.
Space. Craig McRae is fucking good though. I gotta give him credit. He's really
Yeah, well,
good.
he just won the bloody, what do you call it, Coach of the Year honours for 2022. No surprise, really, after what they've done. All right, give me a tip, a margin, and a Norm Smith medal winner.
All right, I'll go. I think the Cats get up. I
Yep.
don't think Sydney can handle the Cats forward line. Let's be honest, that's huge.
So what
Who's playing
matchups will we get? We'll get bloody the McCartan boys against Cameron and Hawkins.
Yeah, I mean, good luck, boys. Really.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm blank. Oh, you got Dane Rampy down there. Maybe he floats onto like a Gary Rowan or something. I'm trying to
yeah,
think what other matchups there
yes.
might be.
Lloyd probably doesn't go to Stengel, right? I don't know who goes to Stengel.
Rampy probably goes to Stengel. I'd probably send Rampy to Stengel.
Yeah, I probably would too, but he's on anyway. But yeah, I'll take the Cats,
Mm-hmm.
and I think oh boy, that's tough. I'm sort of thinking like Duncan or Guthrie, but maybe
Oh.
maybe the Tomahawk.
Oh yeah,
Be
gets
nice
off the
to
chain.
see. Yeah, or Cameron. They're the 4 that jump to mind. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
What do you reckon margin wise? Do you reckon Geelong are going to waltz to it?
oh, 19 points.
Yep. Okay.
There you go.
Well, I have written down here that I think it's Geelong's flag to lose. I agree that they're the better side. They've probably been the best side all year. They've definitely been the best side for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
They've shown that in the finals as well, even though they only just pipped Collingwood. They then like flex their muscle hard on Brisbane. But I think the
Yeah.
Sydney deserves like credit to take Geelong right up to it. I could see them going 3 quarters with the Cats. It might be the first, third, and fourth quarter. It might be the first 3. It might be the last 3. But I still think that Geelong's a better team. So there'll be one of the quarters where they just kind of blow them out of the water. Might only be by a couple of goals, and I think Geelong will win by 17.
Okay.
I got me Norm Smith down potentially. I was going to go Izzy Smith, but I think after watching him in the prelim, he didn't look sharp, the same Isaac Smith that we've seen in the past. So I went with Cam Guthrie.
Yeah.
But if the Swans get up, I wouldn't mind seeing Errol Goulden as a bit of a smoky to potentially win it. You'll have your Luke Parker and Callum Mills doing their thing, but I'll be very intrigued to see what Big Goulden could do on the big stage. And I might just have a little cheeky splash on him for the first snag of the day, to be honest.
Mate, have a cheeky splash on Buddy Franklin for Norm Smith, mate.
Oh,
That would be good.
that would be good.
That's
Did you
what I want
see?
to see.
Did you see the thing that he and the Swans released the other day, like media release?
No.
So
Don't think so.
very like MJ style. It was just Sydney Swans header, the text, and then in quotation marks, he just wrote one more. So I read that and I was like, Buddy's playing one more game and he's retiring. He's like done after the Grandy. But it was that he's signed on for one more season with the Swans. I'm like, oh, that's poxy. That would have been sick if he had like the week the grand finals on, be like, yep, this is it. Like, I'm retiring at the end of this game, no matter what.
He should.
I think he should too, to be honest. But let's be honest. If he can make money and his body's still fit and firing and he's chased down Gary Ablett Senior goals wise, right? I'm pretty sure he did. I'll get onto it, but if he can still, enhance his legacy, and who knows, maybe if that win, loss, or draw, they're able to have another crack at it next year, then I can see why he'd want to like wring the cloth for all that it's worth. But I kind of wanted it to be, one more game, and then I'm curtains.
Norm Smith finished at the very, very top.
Yep.
You know how I feel about that. So,
what if Joel Selwood gets a dub as the skipper? He's got 350 something games under his belt. Do you reckon there's any potential chance that he hangs him up?
Yeah, there's a chance. Probably a bit the same though, don't you reckon? Like, if you can keep going,
especially given the way that they're looking, they're poised to probably have another serious tilt at it next year. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and the way the rest of the comp looks is probably more accurate. Geelong looks like they always bloody look, but the rest of the comp looks a bit flat at the moment, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that they're like they were the best team this year, but I don't think that they're that far ahead of everyone else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Melbourne had the hot start, but not convinced. Doggies, no go. Brisbane,
I think we've sold all our fucking Bulldog stock.
You boys, bit off Geelong, quite a bit off, I would say.
Yeah.
The Swans, I don't think they're as good as. I don't know. I reckon it's just the AFL seems a bit flat right now. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
That seems stupid to say, but it feels flatter than most years. Like, there's been like big contenders for most of our like lives, I think, and like warring at the top. Whereas now you're just like, no.
Well, it's probably just because we're at one of those points, right? You had your Hawthorn dynasty, and then there was like a year or two. You had your Richmond dynasty, and now we might be in that year or two. So we might maybe we're seeing a Geelong one. Maybe we'll see a Sydney one. Maybe, I don't know, the D's will bounce back quickly next year and we'll see a Melbourne one. But I do get what you're saying, because usually you have like, oh, well, fuck, who's going to keep up with the 06 West Coast Eagles and it's the Sydney Swans, and those two just went at it. But I think that flat might not be the right word, but because it's so open and there's so many decent teams, it feels like there's no like true contenders, if that makes sense, right at the top. I wouldn't be surprised though. We have had differing opinions on the Swans and the Tigers, but I wouldn't be shocked if Richmond like bounced right back up and were in the thick of it, especially if they land Taranto and Hopper in the off season. That'd be huge for them. Give up a bit of draft capital, whatever. Koch and Rewald will probably go one more round. I expect them to be in the mix too.
Yeah, and the Swans will contend for years to come. They've got the youth. I'm not buying them this year, but Swans, you boys, and maybe the Tigers with a few big signings, and then we get the D's coming back up. Then all of a sudden, it doesn't feel flat. It feels like there's 4 or 5 genuine contenders. But yeah, the contenders just fell flat this year. I thought Brisbane were a huge shot, fell flat.
So did I,
Obviously,
yeah.
the Doggies, Melbourne felt. Didn't they go straight at set exit?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck,
And even remember when they had that, who was it? I think they lost to Freo, then Sydney,
and the
and maybe it
Swans.
was 3 in a row. Maybe it was Collingwood after that.
Maybe they
Anyway.
won and then lost again, I think.
Yeah, and we were like halfway through the season, like, oh, is there a little form slump? Does that mean anything? And we're like, well, probably not, because I still view them daylight ahead of everyone. But it turns out it meant something. So
Yep.
they'll lick their wounds. They'll come back stronger. Same with the Tigs. Same with all the boys at the dock. Now about half of them are leaving. So we'll have to wait and see. All right. Yeah, good luck to the Cats and the Swans. I think I kind of want to see Sydney win more, but like I said, I would not mind seeing Patrick Dangerfield win a flag before he bows out, because he fucking can't have long left either.
Yeah. No, I want to see the Cats win and Danger get one, but he's had one, Let Danger win one.
Fair point.
That's
right.
pretty much. Do I want Danger or Buddy? Yeah.
Can you remember the topic that we covered on the last Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, it was worst blokes, wasn't it?
Yeah, the villains. Well done. Yep.
Yeah.
Just had to double check. I took out nearly 80% of the votes, let's just say.
Fair
so
enough. Yeah.
The Barry Hall one, I think, definitely got me over the line. And in keeping with grand final theme, and I think you might have even suggested this the last time we hit the airwaves, we should do something grand final orientated. So we're doing the greatest AFL moments or highlights, however you couple it. So there's been some big ones. And a lot of them, as I was kind of compiling my draft board, I was like, oh, shit, that was recent. Oh, that was recent too. Oh, yeah, so was that one. So we've been treated to some pretty epic moments in grand finals recently, but courtesy of a previous dub, I'm now leading 10-6 in the head-to-head, which is still pretty solid.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to go victory number 7 here with your first pick. You are going to select which AFL Grand Final highlight / moment.
It's pretty obvious, I think, this one.
Yeah, I didn't even write it down because I didn't think it'd be on the board.
No, it's not going to be on the board. I'll take Dom Sheed. And it's one of those things you're like, well, it's actually the whole play leading up to it is amazing. So I feel like we kind of we're allowed that sort of.
I agree. Yep.
A little bit of leeway in that sense. But yeah, it's got to be Dom Sheed. Jeremy McGovern leaves fucking DeGoey, takes a mark. Vardy does the best thing he's ever done in an AFL game. Liam Flying Ryan does a Flying Ryan thing, plays on. Dom Sheed slots it. Classic bit of like commentary, classic reaction. The most clutch moment ever in an AFL Grand Final. So I'll take Dom for the West Coast win. Let's go.
That's a good one. There was no other number one pick in my eyes. There was a couple that pipped Dom Sheed's number one on some lists that I quickly cast my eyes over. But you can't go past like a game-winning goal from like where he kicked it, the whole context of the game. It genuinely felt a bit like West Coast versus the world as well. Like, because it was at the G. There was, thousands of Collingwood fans. There were shitloads of West Coast fans there too. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Great pick. So you've gone with a highlight that celebrates a West Coast flag. Unfortunately, with my first pick, I'm going to be taking a highlight that stopped a West Coast flag. Now, full disclosure, Sheed probably played on. Rioli might have got away with a block. Ashley Sampi was definitely held in this marking contest.
Sampi was held.
But Leo
changed
Barry's
that man's
mark,
life.
Yeah, genuinely, hey. Leo Barry's mark in 2005 is my first pick.
Yep.
Epic highlight, breaks the drought for the Swans, and it wasn't the start of an unreal rivalry, because you boys had some like big regular season games, and I think you might have even played previously in the finals from memory, or like later in the year. But that 05-06 Sydney West Coast rivalry was elite, and I think from that rivalry, this may have been the best highlight of all. So yeah, Leo Barry's mark is my one.
Yeah, breaking wasn't it 81 years?
72 from memory, but who's
Oh,
counting?
72. Like,
Either way.
yeah, I think that probably honestly has a case for number one in my
Yeah,
mind.
potentially.
That was unbelievable. And now it gets a little trickier.
It does.
I feel like I've got a clear top 6 or 7 here, so I'm just going to keep rolling down the list because oh, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna go with my favorite one. I'm gonna go with my
Yeah,
favorite.
okay.
I don't want it to slip through. And also it's a bit more of an even list than the Kobe one. So let me paint you a picture. And in fact, I know where you and I were. We were sitting in Osborne Park at Mr. Kurno's house. We were sitting on the couch. You were about to take off to uni games, and bit of a flat granny at this point. Honestly, all of a
Couldn't
sudden,
tell you the margin.
back pocket, 30 meters out. Lewis Jetta gets the ball. Lewis Jetta takes off. Oh, who's that behind him? It's Cyril fucking Rioli. And those two proceeded to run 120 meters down the field in one of the most exhilarating moments of AFL football that I've ever seen. It's probably my favorite highlight of all time, other than Dom Sheed. So Louis versus Cyril. The commentary was unreal.
Yeah,
Bruce loved it. I think Comedy was going. And Lewis, sorry, Cyril, Lewis got you. So that's going to be my number 2. It's pretty high, I think, but I think everyone remembers like that. And everyone remembers that Cyril pushed him at the end. And yeah, that's my favorite highlight of AFL ever.
I will until the day I die. Never forget Lewis taking off and Cyril chasing him. And like almost before the commentators even caught on, you just stand up and just start like screaming at the top of your lungs with excitement. And to be honest, I put it at number 3 on my board just so that I knew it was sitting up there high. I probably wasn't going to take it next, but I was like, I kind of want to snag this one from J-Lo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised that you went early on it. Yeah, epic highlight. Like Dennis said, Jetta took the gold, but that was a cool highlight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now you've put me in an interesting position because if you didn't go that, I kind of had an idea of how my next few picks would unfold. And I do wonder, I don't want to get too fancy and try and sneak one through and, potentially miss building a good draft board. But another somewhat drought-breaking premiership moment against the Swans rather than for the Swans is Tom Boyd's goal from the centre-ish square. Let's call it the centre square. Yep. Maybe on par was BT's fuck call, but that was like you kick that goal, you're like, all right, now the game's over. That was the sealer.
Yeah.
I think from memory it put him up 16, something of the sorts. Dale Morris had like a huge chase down on Buddy before, or Smother maybe. But yeah, Tom Boyd's goal will be my second pick.
That's what I would have taken. That's what I was going to take number 2, but I couldn't lose Louis versus Cyril. Okay, it really does get tricky now. I think I'm going to go with one of those like, nah, all right, I'm going to go, you've got a game-saving play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get a game-saving play, although I'm pretty sure it was pretty early in the game, but Heath Shaw's Nick Rewalt rundown was like, that's an AFL Grand Final effort exemplified. Like, I reckon almost anyone else would have just gone, oh, there's a goal. Okay. Like, he was like fucking 15 meters behind him, mate. Like, that was an unspoilable ball. And all of a sudden, he's done it. And that pretty much I felt like set the tone for that whole, because I'm pretty sure that was the
replay.
The replay that just set the tone. So I'm gonna go Heath Shaw, the smother. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go.
Yeah, good choice.
That'll do.
That was sixth on my board.
Okay.
I would have taken it if you had have taken the one ahead of it, but I will now draft that said highlight. It's an epic highlight. It's actually, let me rephrase it. It's an epic moment. It can kind of get lost a little bit in the shuffle, but it's obviously one that you and I will know, and a lot of footy fans who watched will know. But Maddie Scarlett's toe poke.
That was they were the two I was trying to decide.
In 2009. So that was the one I considered with me last pick, because that same deal set up a game clinching goal. Like Gaz gets it, kicks it to Chappie, game over.
Mm-hmm.
And like just the very like quick thinking, just tap it with your foot, jump up.
Yeah.
Like who thinks to do that in that moment with like such a tight game, the premiership like semi on the line. So Maddie Scarlett's toe poke will be my third selection.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fuck. Now I think that's my top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are gone. The top 6 are gone. Oh God. It's really hard. I'm gonna stay modern because I think going too far back is risky. And man, do you go like game winners or I really want to take. I'm gonna go Brennan Goddard's mark in the drawn granny.
Good one.
Because actually, I will ask, can we take the drawn granny? That's like not a moment, is it? It's like kind of
I wouldn't say so.
That feels cheap to me. If you do that, you're a cunt.
No, I'm not going to. I see similar deal. One of the ones that I had in like my honourable mentions was Darren Jarman's last quarter when he kicked 5 in 97. But I'm like, it's not a moment. It was like it's a
feels
quarter.
wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not a highlight.
I'll take Goddard's mark in the drawn granny. It's like an iconic photo. Put him up. Didn't get him over the line, but I really felt like the game was kind of getting away from the Saints at that point. And then he sort of jags that to put them up. You could almost put the Stephen Milne missed
bounce. Yep.
As the moment, but I think I'll take the Goddard mark, forsaking. Yeah, a couple of good ones, but I feel like that's actually the best highlight. So I'm excited to see if you've got any that I didn't think of. I was thinking about this I've thought about it during the week because I thought we might do it. So
yeah, I'm now torn because there's two ways that I can go. Quick couple honourable mentions. That same Cyril Lewis grand final, Nick Malcheski's goal, similar vibes to Tom Boyd, like that sealed the deal. Daniel Chick's smother and Hunter's goal.
I nearly took that.
Yeah, that's a moment. Marlon Pickett kicking the goal in 2017. That was like, I was having a look earlier, 7-minute mark of the third quarter, but you're like, he kicked it. I'm like, that's the clincher. They were up by like 50 points at that point.
Yeah.
So that's epic. But the two that I'm tossing up between, and I think I already know which one I'm going to go, but Wayne Harms like diving to keep the ball alive.
Yeah.
In
I
79.
thought about that.
But yeah, I don't know why. But yeah, similar deal. I'm like, I just don't think I want to take a highlight from 1979. I mean, I can't really comment on the game, even though everyone says it was epic and that was like the match-winning play. And it's an iconic play, don't get me wrong.
Pretty sure Jezelenko's mark was in a final in the granny.
Yeah. Another useless bit of trivia. That was part of the first Norm Smith winning performance by Wayne Harms. He won the first ever Norm Smith medal in that game.
Oh. Yeah, that's a quiz night question.
Yeah, I'm full of useless shit like that. Acker's goal as well for Brisbane to put them up. That was cool. And let's not be mistaken. There's so many epic highlights we could have chosen, but this one I don't think is cheating. It's the whole Michael Voss versus Scott Burns 2002 scenario. So
I had
Burnsy
the
just,
boss bump.
yeah, Burnsy tries to like cream him, and then Vossy just kicks the snack and then fucking tells him what's what. That'll be my last pick. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the Vossy v Scott Burns. Because that was like someone does that to you in the grand final, and I can't remember exactly like the context of the game, but you just say, "Oh fuck!" Like I just got kind of emasculated in front of 95 plus at the G.
Yeah,
I don't think we're getting over the line today, boys.
No, that's a good one. It's another one of those sort of tone setters.
Mm.
Yeah. The other one I had was I just wrote Stuart Dew.
Oh yeah, yep. His little
probably
cameo.
more similar to the Jarman situation. Doesn't count, but yeah, that was a fun one to compile. It's not as like plentiful as the Kobe one. Probably speaks to like that the clear kind of top couple, and then but it's interesting that little things like a toe poke from Maddie Scarlett can be one of those all-time moments. It's something to listen out for, kids.
Yeah,
kids, if you're listening, it's you never give up. So those little things, Heath Shaw. There's a lesson in that.
1%ers win flags.
Facts, mate. Facts. We could have used a few more a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's sad. It's not.
Nah, still not touching on that.
Now, for the people playing along at home, the Sharks made their first ever grand final this year. An amazing achievement. Just finished second on the day, as they say.
Yeah. Say la vie.
Some may call us the Sydney Swans because apparently, according to everyone, they're finishing second on Saturday. So I guess we'll have to wait and see if they do pull off an upset. I don't know if we'll be back on Tuesday or Wednesday next week, but I don't think there's any copious amounts of wine that need to be drunk or any other plans that we have. So maybe it might be another Sportsby pod.
Maybe. Let's not count our
let's just pump the brakes a bit just in case. By that time, I'm sure there'll be 5 Fremantle players added onto the list that want out, but hopefully we've still got some contracted to field a team of 22 next season.
Good luck, mate. Good luck with that.
All right. Good luck to the Swannies. Good luck to Dangerfield. And make sure you vote for the Mt Rushmore, and we'll do this again in the near future, JLo.